Before you finished reading this sentence, something inside you had already decided how to feel about it. You didn't choose it. You didn't think about it. It happened underneath you, faster than thought, quieter than a whisper. There is a part of you that looks at the world before you do. It decides what feels safe and what feels dangerous, what seems possible and what doesn't, what you deserve and what you don't. And it makes that decision in silence, long before your conscious mind ever gets a vote. Most people never notice it. They spend their whole lives believing they are simply seeing reality the way it is. But what if you're not? What if the life that keeps repeating, the same kind of relationship, the same money, the same quiet ceiling you can't seem to break, isn't only happening to you, but through you? For the next few minutes, I want to show you something physics discovered almost by accident. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it may explain why your reality has been shaped by a hand you never knew was there. When I say the observer changes everything about your reality, I want to be honest with you about what I do not mean. I don't mean you can stare at a problem until it dissolves. I don't mean your thoughts rearrange the world like furniture in a room, or that wanting something badly enough makes it appear at your door. If it were that simple, you would have changed your life a long time ago. You've tried, so have most of the people watching this, the affirmations, the visualizing, the long gratitude lists, and still felt the old life quietly pull them back. So I'm not here to sell you that. What I mean is quieter and stranger, and in the end, far more useful. The way you look at your life is not neutral. The attention you bring to a moment, the things you quietly expect before they happen, the feeling your body is already carrying when you open your eyes in the morning. These are not just reactions to your reality. They are part of how your reality takes shape in the first place. Let's start with that part of you, the one that looks before you do. Think about walking into a dark room. For the first few seconds, you see almost nothing. Then your eyes adjust, and shapes begin to rise out of the black. But here's the part almost nobody clocks. What your mind chooses to make visible first depends entirely on who is doing the looking. Walk into your own bedroom in the dark, and your body relaxes. The shadows are just the dresser, the chair, the clothes you left on it. You move through it without thinking. Now walk into a stranger's house at night. The same amount of darkness, the same absence of light. But suddenly every shape has an edge. Every small sound means something. The dark feels full of intention, like it's watching you back. The room didn't change. The light didn't change. The one looking changed. That is the filter, and it isn't only active in dark rooms. It is running right now, in ordinary daylight, quietly deciding what is safe and what is a threat, what deserves your attention and what gets ignored. It reads a text message and decides the tone before you've thought about it. It hears a pause in someone's voice and fills that silence with a meaning you never chose. So here is the uncomfortable question. If that filter is always running, how much of what you call reality is the world itself? And how much is the filter, deciding in advance what you're even allowed to see? Hold that question, because something almost identical was discovered in the last place anyone expected to find it. Not in a temple, not in a self-help book, in a laboratory. For centuries, scientists believed the world worked like a machine you could watch from the outside. Observation was supposed to be passive, Like watching a film, the movie plays the same whether you're in the room or not. You see it, you don't touch it. Then they went looking at the smallest pieces of reality, the tiny particles that everything around you is built from. And there, the rule broke. When they measured these particles, when they watched them closely, the particles behaved one way. When they stopped watching, the very same particles behaved completely differently. Slow down and feel how strange that is. It wasn't the measurement that came out different. It was the behavior of the thing itself, shifting depending on whether or not it was being observed. Here is the pattern, stated plainly. At the deepest level we have ever been able to measure, the act of observing is not separate from the thing being observed. The watcher, somehow, is part of the event. And if that holds true for a single particle inside a sealed laboratory, a place built specifically to keep human feeling out, then it's worth asking a far more personal question. What happens when the thing being observed is your own life? When the watcher is not a scientist with a machine, but you, carrying everything you have ever felt? To get there, we have to look at the one experiment that made even the scientists uneasy. The one that hinted that reality, before someone looks at it, may not be nearly as solid as we like to believe. Picture a still pond at dawn, nothing moving. Then you drop a single stone, and rings spread out across the surface in perfect circles. Now drop 2 stones, side by side, at the same moment. 2 sets of rings spread out, and where they meet, something happens. In some places, the waves climb on top of each other and grow taller. In other places, they cancel each other out, and the water goes flat. You end up with a pattern: tall, flat, tall, flat. Anyone who has watched ripples cross has seen it. It's just what waves do. Hold that image, because in the early 1800s, a man named Thomas Young did something with light that should not have worked. He sent a beam of light at a barrier with 2 narrow slits cut into it. On the wall behind, he expected 2 bright lines, one behind each slit. Light goes through the openings, hits the wall, done. That is not what he saw. Instead, the wall lit up with many stripes. Bright, dark, bright, dark. The exact pattern of those 2 sets of ripples meeting on the pond. The light was behaving like a wave, passing through both slits at once and interfering with itself on the way to the wall. Strange, but the scientists could live with it. Light is a wave. Fine. Then, much later, the experiment turned darker and far more mysterious. They decided to fire the light not as a beam, but one tiny piece at a time. A single particle, then another, like throwing one grain of sand at the wall, waiting, and throwing the next. Now think about it. One grain can only fit through one slit. Fired one at a time, with nothing to interfere with, they should have made 2 simple piles behind the 2 openings. But they didn't. Sent one by one, alone, with no other particle anywhere near them, the particles slowly built up the same striped pattern. The pattern of a wave, as if each single particle, traveling completely alone, had somehow gone through both slits at the same time and interfered with itself. Let that sit. A single thing, exploring every possible path at once before settling into one. Before it was observed, the particle did not seem to be in any one place. It was more like a spread of maybes. Maybe this slit, maybe that one, maybe every route in between, all of them held open at the same time, like possibilities waiting to be chosen. So the scientists asked the obvious question: which slit does it actually go through? Let's just watch and find out. They placed a detector at the slits, a small eye, only there to record which opening each particle used. Nothing else changed. Same light, same slits, same wall. And the moment they watched, the pattern collapsed. The stripes vanished. The particles stopped behaving like waves of possibility and started behaving like ordinary grains, each one passing through a single slit, landing in two plain piles, exactly as common sense first predicted. Stop watching, and the wave of possibilities returns. Start watching, and it collapses into one definite path. The looking was not passive. The looking decided. Step back from the laboratory for a moment and feel the shape of what was found. Before observation, many paths stay open. After observation, one path becomes real, and the others quietly disappear. And that shape, that exact shape, may be something you have been living your whole life without ever once naming it. Because if watching can take a particle out of a whole field of open possibilities and lock it onto a single road, then I have to ask you, gently, what has your watching been doing to the open possibilities in your own life? For most of this, we've been standing in a laboratory watching particles, a safe distance, someone else's mystery. Let's bring it home now, because you are also an observer. All day, every day, you are watching your own life, and the real question is whether your watching has ever been as neutral as you assumed. Here is the part that's hard to hear. You may not only be living your patterns, you may be quietly helping to hold them in place. Not through your actions, not through anything you would ever choose on purpose, but through the automatic way you look at everything before you've had a chance to think. You walk into a first date already half expecting it to end the way the last one did. You open your banking app with your shoulders tense before you've even seen the number. A new opportunity appears, and some old part of you has already decided how this story finishes. You are not imagining the result. The result is real. But you may be one of the quiet hands shaping it by meeting a new moment with the eyes of an old one. And this is where we run into the strangest split inside a human being. What you want and what you expect are very often two completely different things. You want love, but somewhere underneath, your body is braced for abandonment because that is what it once learned. You want money to feel calm and steady, but underneath, you expect it to vanish, to come with strings, to never quite be enough. You want freedom, but part of you expects to be trapped, so even good news arrives with a knot in your chest. The wanting lives in your thoughts. It's loud, it's hopeful, it makes the plans. The expecting lives in your body. It's quiet, it doesn't argue, and it has been running far longer than your hope. Think of it like the navigation in your car. When you set out toward a new life, you type in the destination you want. The screen lights up with the new address, the new route, the new you. That is your desire, doing its honest best. But there is an old home address still saved in the system, one you didn't enter today. And the moment your attention drifts, the moment you stop consciously steering, the navigation quietly reroutes you back toward the place it still calls home. Not because you asked, because that is the default it was set to a long time ago. You can want the new destination with your whole heart. But if the saved address underneath still points to lack, to fear, to people like me don't get this, then every time you relax, you drift back toward the old life. And you call it bad luck. You call it self-sabotage. You wonder why you keep arriving in the same place when you so clearly wanted somewhere else. The truth is gentler and stranger. You were never only choosing with your desire, you were also being steered by your expectation. And your expectation is the thing your life keeps quietly measuring. So if that quiet expectation is doing this much, steering, selecting, confirming, then we have to ask who, exactly, is doing the expecting. Because it doesn't feel like a decision you're making right now. It feels older than that. It feels like it was already running before you walked into the room, and it was. There is a part of you that was looking at the world long before today, a part that formed its opinion of life early and has been quietly reading every new moment through that same old lens ever since. That part has a shape, it has a history, and once you finally meet it, almost everything that keeps repeating in your life begins to make a different kind of sense. Let me introduce you to the part of you that has been doing the looking. It doesn't have a face, it doesn't announce itself, but it is the first thing awake in any situation, faster than your reasoning, older than your words. Before your thinking mind has formed a single sentence, this part has already glanced at the moment and decided what it means. And here is the tender thing about it. It did not appear out of nowhere. It was built, slowly, by the things that happened to you when you were too young or too hurt to argue. A child who was left learns to watch for leaving. A child who is criticized learns to scan every face for disappointment. A child who grew up where money was a source of fear learns to feel danger the moment things start to go well. None of these are flaws. Every one of them was once a form of protection. Your body was simply trying to keep you safe in the world it actually found. So please don't shame this part of you. It is not your enemy. It is the part of you that survived. But a lens that was shaped during an old storm does not clear up on its own when the storm finally passes. It keeps coloring everything long after the weather has changed. Think of it like a courtroom inside you. A long time ago, after enough pain, a verdict was reached. Maybe the verdict was, the world is not safe. Maybe it was, I am too much, or I am not enough, or good things don't last for people like me. And then the case was closed. Here is what a closed verdict does. Every single morning, the court quietly reopens, not to reconsider, but to confirm. New evidence walks in all day long. But only the evidence that agrees with the old verdict gets admitted. Anything that might overturn it is dismissed before you even notice it was there. Watch how fast it works. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Before you decide anything, your jaw tightens, your hands grip the wheel, your heartbeat climbs. The observer has already ruled. People are careless, the world is against me, I have to brace. And once that verdict is fresh again, the rest of your day lines up to agree with it. The slow line at the store feels like an insult. The unanswered message feels like rejection. A flat tone in an email confirms that nobody really respects you. None of it may be true. But the court isn't searching for truth anymore. It's searching for proof. By evening, you are exhausted and certain that the world really is the way you always feared it was. And you never once suspect that the verdict came first, and the evidence was gathered afterward to fit it. This is the quiet machinery underneath so much of what repeats in a life. Not bad luck, not a curse, a very old conclusion hiring your attention every day to defend it. So the question is no longer only, why does this keep happening to me? The deeper question is, what did I conclude so long ago that my eyes are still working to prove? and to see how completely this one thing shapes a life. Watch what happens when two different people, carrying two different verdicts, walk into the exact same moment. Two people lose the same job, on the same morning, in the same building. One walks out into the parking lot and feels the ground disappear. This is the proof, he thinks. Proof that he was never good enough, that security was always a lie, that he should have seen it coming. By the time he reaches his car, the entire future has gone dark. The other walks out and feels something almost like air. A door she never had the courage to open just opened for her. She's frightened, yes, but underneath the fear there is a strange, quiet relief and a question that feels alive. What now? Same event, same letter, same words, same loss. Two completely different realities. We like to believe that the facts decide our experience, that if something good happens, we feel good, and if something bad happens, we feel bad. But the fact was identical for both of them. What differed was the observer. The meaning didn't come from the event. The meaning came from the one who was watching it. And to understand why, we have to talk about something your brain is doing every second without ever asking your permission. Your brain does not show you the world as it is. It can't. There is far too much coming in. So instead, it does something clever and a little unsettling. It predicts. Based on everything that has happened to you before, it makes a fast guess about what is out there, and then it shows you the guess. You are not seeing the raw world. You are seeing your brain's best prediction of the world, nudged slightly by your senses, and those predictions are built almost entirely out of your past. Think of it like living with a translator standing beside you at all times. Everything that happens reaches the translator first, who instantly turns it into words you can understand. Most of the time, this is a gift. It's fast, it's fluent. You never notice it's there. But your translator learned the language during a hard season of your life, and it picked up some habits. It tends to translate a neutral face as disapproval, a generous offer as a trick with strings attached, an open door as a probable trap. You never hear the original, you only ever hear the translation. And because it arrives instantly, in your own inner voice, you mistake it for the world speaking to you directly. This is why two people can stand in the same room and live in different worlds. They are listening to different translators. Now follow this somewhere uncomfortable. If your brain mostly shows you what it already expects, then the things it does not expect can be standing right in front of you and stay completely invisible. The opportunity you weren't looking for, the kindness someone offered while you were too braced to receive it, the solution that was obvious to everyone but you, the love that was actually there, waiting, while your translator kept insisting it couldn't be real. You can look straight at something good and simply not see it because it doesn't match the prediction. And the deepest version of this is the one that quietly runs your life. A thought like, "I'm not enough," or "good things don't last for me." These do not feel like opinions. They feel like facts, like gravity, like something you merely noticed about the world. But they are not facts. They are old predictions, repeated so many times that they hardened into something that feels like truth. They feel true not because they are true, but because they are familiar. And to a tired nervous system, familiar is almost impossible to tell apart from real. Sit with that for a moment. Some of the things you are most certain about when it comes to yourself may not be observations at all. They may be the oldest guesses you ever made, still being read back to you in your own voice. And when a guess gets repeated long enough, it stops sounding like something you think. It starts sounding like something you are. When a guess about yourself gets repeated for years, it goes through a quiet transformation. It stops being a thought you have. It becomes a person you believe you are. I'm just an anxious person. I'm bad with money. I'm too much for people. I'm the kind of person things don't work out for. Notice the words. Not I feel anxious. I am anxious. The moment a pattern becomes an I am, it stops looking like something you're doing and starts looking like something you simply are. And that is the most powerful kind of observation there is, because identity doesn't only color what you see, it quietly sets the limit on what you will even reach for. Someone who believes, I'm not the kind of person who gets loved well, will not knock twice on a door that's slow to open. Not because the love isn't possible, but because, deep down, it doesn't match who they think they are. We don't chase what contradicts our own identity. We let it slip away and call it being realistic. So where did this I am come from? Almost always from a handful of moments your body never let go of. A parent who said in a tired voice, "Why can't you be more like your brother?" A teacher who read your worst grade out loud. A room that went quiet at exactly the wrong moment. You were young. You couldn't argue back. And so a small, frightened part of you reached a conclusion. This is who I am. This is how the world treats someone like me. The mind may have forgotten the moment. The body never did. It filed it away as a rule for staying safe. And here is something I want to say to you directly before we go any further. If you've stayed with me all the way to this point, you are not a casual viewer. You're someone actually willing to look. So let this be the moment you decide to keep walking through these ideas with us, a little at a time, day by day. Some things only loosen their grip when you return to them gently, more than once. And if you're sitting there feeling like you might be the only one quietly carrying a conclusion like this for years, you're not. This space is full of people who never chose theirs either. Now, here is why all of this matters for everything you may have already tried. You can repeat affirmations in the mirror every morning. You can visualize the new life in vivid detail. You can fill a journal with everything you want to believe, and still feel almost nothing move. Not because you did it wrong, but because words spoken by the mind do not automatically reach the part of you that is still bracing for danger underneath. This is the piece most advice skips. The thinking mind is not where the pattern lives. So speaking new sentences to an old body is like changing the captions while the same film keeps playing. Picture it this way. Your outer life is a screen. Whatever shows up there, your relationships, your money, your ordinary days, is the picture being displayed. And for years, you may have been trying to fix your life by touching the screen, arguing with the image, wiping at it, demanding it look different. But there is a projector behind you throwing that image onto the screen. The projector is your inner state, your identity, your expectations, the feeling your body has learned to call normal. The screen only ever shows what the projector sends. You can rub the screen until your hands ache. The image will not change because the picture was never coming from the wall. It was coming from the light behind you. And that one shift, from the screen to the source, is where real change quietly begins. Not by forcing the image, by changing what the light is made of. But you cannot change that light with thought alone, because the projector doesn't live in your head. It lives in your body, in the chest, the breath, the shoulders that stay braced even when nothing is wrong. So if anything is going to truly change, it has to begin there. There is a small space most people never notice. It lasts less than a second. It sits between the thing that happens and the way you react to it. Someone says something sharp. The space opens. Then your chest tightens and the old response fires. The phone buzzes with bad news. The space opens. Then the dread floods in. It happens so fast that it feels like there is no gap at all, like the event and your reaction are one single thing. But they are not. There is always a gap. And inside that gap, for one quiet moment, the old pattern has not won yet. This is the most hopeful thing I can tell you in this entire video. You do not have to change your whole life at once. You don't have to fix every belief or undo every old conclusion. You only have to learn to notice the pattern in that small space before you obey it. But here is what makes that hard. The reaction does not begin where you think it does. You imagine that you see a situation, then think about it, then feel something. That is the order it seems to follow. In truth, it runs the other way. Before your thinking mind has explained anything, your body has already read the room. Your shoulders already know. Your stomach already knows. The body decides safe or not safe long before a single word forms in your head. So if the body reads the room first, then the body is where observation actually begins, not the mind, the body. Let me show you what I mean right now. Wherever you are, take one slow breath in and let it out a little longer than you drew it in. Just one. Now notice your shoulders. Notice your jaw. Most people carry a low, quiet bracing all day and have stopped feeling it because it became normal. That bracing is your observer, set to danger, and for a single breath, you can feel it loosen, which means it can be changed. Now follow this down to where it starts. Your heart. For most of history, we treated the heart as a simple pump. Push the blood, keep the body running, nothing more. But researchers studying the heart found something stranger. The heart is constantly sending signals up to the brain, and the rhythm of those signals shapes how the brain perceives the world. Think of your heart as a drummer and your brain as the band. When the drummer is panicking, speeding up, stumbling, hitting beats at random, the whole band plays tense and rushed. Every cue sounds like an alarm. The music narrows into something jagged and defensive. This is what happens under stress. The heart's rhythm turns ragged. The brain receives a signal of threat, and your perception clamps down. You see dangers, obstacles, reasons to brace. The world looks exactly as unsafe as the drummer feels. But when the drummer settles into a smooth, even, unhurried beat, something opens. The band relaxes. It begins to listen. It can improvise, find new notes, hear the other instruments. This is what the gentler feelings do inside you. Appreciation, care, a moment of real presence. They steady the rhythm. The brain receives a signal of safety, and your perception widens. Suddenly there is room for options you couldn't see a minute ago. Same brain, same world, a different drummer. And this is the part that changes how you try to grow. You were never going to think your way into a calmer life while your drummer was still panicking. The observer is not trained from the top down with better arguments. It is trained from the body up by steadying the rhythm underneath the thoughts. But a single calm breath, as real as it is, fades quickly. One steady moment is not enough to retrain a lifetime. The observer that shapes your reality is not the one you visit for 30 seconds. It is the one you live inside for hours. And that points to the real question. Not what you can feel once, but what you are willing to feel again and again until your body finally believes it. So what is the strongest observation a human being makes? It isn't a thought. Thoughts come and go all day, hundreds of them, most of them ignored. The strongest observation you make is the emotion you sustain. The feeling your body holds, hour after hour, quietly, in the background. That is the signal your life keeps reading. If your body sustains a low-grade fear all day, that is the observation being made, not the hopeful sentence you said in the mirror once at 7 in the morning. If your body sustains a quiet scarcity, a constant faint sense that there is never quite enough, that is the measurement, no matter what your vision board says. This is why the feeling you live in matters more than the words you repeat. Your deepest observation is not what you say you believe. It is what you feel long enough for your body to call it home, which leads to the hardest turn in all of this. Most people wait. They wait for the relationship to prove it is safe before they let themselves feel safe. They wait for the money to arrive before they allow themselves to feel calm. They wait for the evidence, and only then do they permit the feeling. But you just saw why that keeps the old life in place. If the feeling is the observation, and the observation shapes what you can perceive and receive, then waiting for proof before you feel means you keep broadcasting the old signal and keep meeting the old results that match it. The inversion is this: the new state has to come first, before the proof. You have to learn to feel a quiet steadiness, a quiet enoughness, a quiet warmth toward your own life, while the outer world has not changed at all yet. You stop being the effect of your circumstances and slowly start becoming the cause of your own state. And I won't pretend that part is comfortable, because the moment you begin, you walk into one of the strangest places a person can stand. Picture a trapeze artist, high above the floor. To reach the new bar, she has to let go of the old one. And there is a moment, brief, but it feels like forever, when she is holding neither. Not falling, crossing. But her whole body is screaming, because it is gripping nothing at all. That is the place you enter when the old self starts to dissolve and the new one hasn't arrived. The old identity is loosening its grip, but the new life hasn't shown up yet to prove it was worth it. There is no evidence, just air, and in that air, 3 things will happen. You need to know them in advance so you don't mistake them for failure. First, the doubt will rise, the anxiety, the heaviness, the sudden urge to quit and go back. This is not proof you're doing it wrong. It is the old system fighting to survive. Because to a nervous system, the familiar feels safe even when the familiar is pain. Second, life may feel more unstable, not less. Old habits, old relationships, old certainties may start to wobble. It can look like everything is coming apart. Often it is simply reorganizing, the old structure coming down so something truer can be built. And third, you will be tempted to check, to refresh the account, to scan their face for signs, to measure over and over whether it's working yet. But understand what checking really is. Checking is the old observer climbing back into the chair, asking the old question, Is the danger still here? And the instant you ask the old question, you are broadcasting the old signal again. The work up in the air is to hold the new bar without throwing yourself back toward the old one, to stay in the new feeling without demanding that the world hurry up and prove it. If this current is already loosening something in you, hit subscribe now, because the next part walks you through exactly how to carry this into tomorrow morning before the old pattern gets there first. And there is one moment every single day where this whole thing is quietly won or lost. It comes before you've had a chance to defend yourself, before the day has even spoken a word. It arrives the instant you wake up. Tomorrow morning, it will happen again. Before your eyes are fully open, the old program will begin to load. The bracing in the chest, the quiet weight that says, "Here we go." Same life. It will reach for your phone because the phone hands it 100 new things to confirm what it already expects. This is the moment. Not someday. This one. The first 60 seconds. So tomorrow, try something small. Before you touch the phone, stay still for one breath. Put a hand on the center of your chest. Take one slow breath and let it out longer than you drew it in. Then find one thing, one real thing, that is already holding you up. The weight of the blanket, the fact that you woke, the light at the edge of the curtain, not a lie you tell yourself. Something true enough that your body can believe it. You are not pretending the problems are gone. You are doing something quieter and far more important. You are choosing who gets to observe this day before the old one takes the chair. That is all change really is, in the beginning. Not a miracle, not a sudden new life, just a different observer, waking up first. Remember where we started. There is a part of you that looks at the world before you do and decides what is real before you ever get a vote. You can't unsee that now, and once you can finally see the one who is looking, something becomes possible that never was before. You can change him. Think back to the dark room. The same darkness can be terror, or it can be home, and the only thing that decides is who walks in. You've been walking into your own life as the frightened one for a long time. It was never weakness, it was protection. But you are allowed now to walk in as someone else. You don't have to control the world to change your life. The world was never the screen you needed to fix. You only have to change the light behind it, the state, the feeling, the one who observes, and slowly, quietly, the picture you are able to see begins to change with it. If something here reached you, don't let it stay here. Follow the channel and come back tomorrow, because this is the kind of thing that has to be practiced, not just heard. Send it to 5 people who keep meeting the same wall over and over. They may not know yet that there's a hand on the dial. And before you go, leave one honest comment. The old verdict you are finally ready to set down, and the next thing you'd like us to walk through together. The room you build down there matters more than you know. Tomorrow, the old program will load again. The chest will tighten. The day will wait. And for one breath, before any of it begins, you will get to decide who opens their eyes.